SBI game Flintlock has launched to very poor Steam stats. Aww. Only 607 players, where other older games are doing much better at this hour. Game already discounted 10% on launch day. Grums had formerly covered how the former CEO and the COO ruined the game by hiring SBI in past tweets. Race swapping the MC and using company funds to promote diversity initiatives in the CEO's personal virtual effects company. They eventually left. It seemed the game never recovered. So the story here is that this game actually had a good, solid team of developers and a good company. They were going. They were developing this game. It was going well, and then they hired this one person, Lissy K. Is it Lissy K? No, that's not Lissy K. It's not her. Maybe it is. Maybe it is her. Okay. They hired one person to be the new CEO and COO. One person in a C-suite, basically. And she DEI'd the game up. She hired SBI, forced a race swap of the main character, and then she siphoned funds because she was the I think she was acting as the CFO as well. And then she siphoned funds into her own VXF company. Basically, she used the company, Kepler Interactive, to launder money into her personal VFX company that she owned. So she comes into this company, ruins the game, engages in what is essentially like embezzling, and then she leaves. She leaves the studio in shambles. Kepler Interactive investor Lissy K claimed I would be wrong about the game, but it turns out I was right. What happened was Cabrutus basically put Flintlock. He saw the SBI connection and put SBI in the list. And then there was a developer that reached out to Cabrutus and said, "No, we got rid of that person. We're fixing the game. We're de-wokifying it and everything." And Cabrutus like, "Okay, well, give me proof." And he was not provided with proof, and so he kept it on the list. And the studio became bitter at him for that. But turns out there was no proof because it didn't happen. I heard Flintlock was actually not bad. I'm not touching it because of SBI. Yeah, exactly. SBI is the Dylan Mulvaney of the video game industry. Dylan Mulvaney is to the the alcohol industry as SBI is to the video game industry. The moment you associate with them, unless the association is for like a big AAA, huge budget, like IP that has its own merits, like Spider-Man 2 is a good example of this, or God of War, it's going to fail. Because even like if I cut that off at just saying like big budget AAA, that wouldn't even be true because of Suicide Squad's failure, which is a fucking massive failure, by the way. Did you know that in that game, Mr. Freeze's wife, Nora, his wife is a lesbian. The lesbian the woman married to a man is a lesbian in Suicide Squad. Rocksteady, I think you need to consult a lesbian or two about what it means to be a lesbian. Oh, man. Let's see. YouTube reviews of the game cite poor story as part of the reason for Flintlock's last reception. Sweet Baby Inc. consults on story and characters. Any studio currently working with SBI should ditch them and denounce them. The Brutus Steam list is nearly 500,000 gamers. Yeah, which is true. It's like 490 something thousand people in that list now, and none of them will be buying an SBI backed game. Yeah, that's the thing. You take 500,000 people who are in lockstep with each other saying, if this company is associated with your game, we will not buy it. You take 500,000 people times what? Oh, how much? For an indie game, what, 30, 40 bucks? For a AAA game, 60, 70 bucks? What does that come out to? 500,000 times... I mean, it's like, isn't that... Hang on, I'm going to bring up a calculator. Bring it up on my damn computer. 500,000 times. Let's say it's an indie game for sale at $30. Bucks. That's $15 million off the table out of the gate. For an indie studio, that is easily the difference between success and failure. Easy. Let's say it's a AAA game selling for 70 bucks, which is insane. But that's the new normal. 500K times $70. $35 million. That's $35 million of sales profits gone right out of the gate. You can just take whatever your projected profits are and cut $35 million off of that for a AAA title. And they're saying like, oh, that group is irrelevant. $35 million ain't irrelevant. I've explained it before. I explained it during my big expose on Sweet Baby Inc., actually. Where the moment that a company recognizes that the amount of money that they save by taking on an ESG loan. So they take on an ESG loan, and the ESG loan has super low interest rates if you satisfy those ESG conditions. One of those ESG conditions is hiring consultant companies like SBI, right? So they have to realize that the amount of money that they save by taking on those loans is less money than the amount of money they lose due to groups like Brutus Inc. saying we will not buy a game that has this company attached to it. Essentially, the moment that the loan savings is less than the money lost, then there's no longer a financial justification for doing it. And that's when these companies will really start hurting it, because they're going to have to go in front of their shareholders every goddamn quarter and explain, we associated with SBI, and then they're going to be like, but SBI always loses money, and then they're going to have to justify that, and they're not going to be able to, and they're going to be forced by the shareholders to basically ostracize this company. My only thing is that it shouldn't only be SBI. This is why that website, DEI Detected, is so good, because DEI Detected isn't just SBI. It's all of these woke consultation companies. It's GamerX. It's Silverstring Media. It's all of them. And when you combine all of them, there is a fuck ton of money that they are losing as a block by associating with these consultation companies. Now, this is just a one of many very recent examples, actually. The last one was Concord. In fact, let me look it up. Hang on. What's up? Do it right now. Steam charts. Hang on. Concord beta. Steam charts. Go chat. $1,000. There's 1,100 people playing Concord right now. This is free, by the way. It was initially a pay-to-play beta, but they had such low engagement, low interest, that they opened it up. This is an open beta. It peaked at 1,500. And the thing is, honestly, like Flintlock, um, it actually doesn't look like the worst gameplay. Like, when you look at just the gameplay, it doesn't look awful. It looks very derivative, and it looks unnecessary. Like, the whole project is unnecessary. But because of the aesthetic, because there's literally pronouns listed in every character's bio, because the characters all look like they were generated by an AI that was filtered through the fucking DEI calculator over at Blizzard. People are just tuning out. Aesthetics matter. Art style, art direction matters. Beauty matters. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter how fun your theme park is. If people driving by your theme park look at the theme park and go, ew, that looks hideous, they're not going to go in. And your amazing theme park is going to be left empty. It is insane to me how ignorant these companies seem to be. Just I want to say I'm the 69 subs. Nice. Well, thanks for the sub, actually. Thank you. No, you're a very easy name to remember. I appreciate you. Welcome in. Welcome in. I also suspect some people are just leaving games as a hobby. There's been a few good games, but most are pandering DEI trash. You get tired of that eventually. I don't think people are necessarily leaving games as a hobby. I think the hobby itself is aging. Hang on, I gotta close my door. Like back when I was like, my first game console was an Intellivision, with the awkward little joysticks and the little number pads that you would slide the cards over, so that it would like customize the number pad to whatever game you were playing. When I was a kid, that's what gaming became a thing. When the NES got came out, when the Super Nintendo came out, when the N64 came out. This was like me in elementary and junior high, right? PS2 came out like right as I was like a senior in high school / freshman in college. So when I was growing up with video games, I was doing just that growing up. The average age of a gamer back then was young, was a teenager, or like some college kid in their early 20s. That was the average age of a gamer. Now the average age of a gamer is like in their mid 30s. So, and here's the thing. The nature in which people play games has absolutely changed. Especially amongst older populations, which is now the average age of a gamer. Because gamers now, on average, have lives. They have jobs. They have responsibilities. They have obligations. They have families. They have kids. They have shit that they have to do in real life. They don't have time to play, game after game after game, day after day after day, week after week after week. They can't do that. So what do? They find like 2 or 3 games that are just like comfort games. They can just boot it up, play it for a bit, and then turn it off, and that's it. They don't have to commit to like a 2-hour-long fucking dungeon raid in World of Warcraft or some shit like that. They can just turn on Call of Duty, play a few matches for an hour and a half, have dinner, fuck their wife, and go to bed. Some people are very, they're looking for more Zen-like games. Like, so they play Minecraft or any one of these survival crafting games. Or maybe they're playing Destiny or something like that. But they have 2 or 3 comfort games that they just come home to, and they play them a few nights every week for a few hours, and that's it. Do you have any fucking idea how hard it is to break somebody out of that habit? Like, people are like, I have my comfort games. One of my comfort games actually is Legends of Runeterra, the card game based on the League of Legends game. I've never played a minute of League of Legends, but I've put over almost 2,000 hours into Legends of Runeterra. I love that card game. It is absolutely a game that I can just boot up. I can play a couple Path of Champions. They each take about a half an hour to an hour, depending on the difficulty and the length of the campaign. And I can just play it for 1 or 2 hours. And then I eat dinner and I go to bed. You know, do you have any idea how hard it's going to be? Like, if somebody introduces, we got Marvel Snap coming out, the new live service Marvel card game, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I'm already set in my ways. I've already got my card game. I'm not going to uproot myself for your fucking Marvel card game. You know? And in relation to that, here comes Concord. Here comes Concord. It's like, it's Overwatch, but it's ugly as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. It's like, I'm sorry, but like the hero shooter, we have fucking what? We have Overwatch, we have Valorant, you know, a handful of others. You don't have any fucking idea how hard it is to get people to break the habit of playing those games, those comfort games that they have. It's just not going to happen. And the only way it is going to happen is with a really nice aesthetic. Something that makes their eyes pop. Go, ooh, that's sexy. Or that's fucking cool. Or this or that. You know? You have to activate somebody on an emotional level. And you do that with the art style. Which is why it doesn't matter how good Concord's gameplay is. The demographic that it's trying to appeal to is already set in its ways. And it doesn't have the aesthetic. It has an anti-aesthetic, in fact. And you're just not, it's not going to pull anybody away out of their habits. And it's just doomed to fail. It is going to massively fail. Flintlock is the same way. Flintlock is doing the exact same thing. It looks so derivative of all the other Souls-like games that are coming out. You know? But there's this upcoming game that's going to do gangbusters called Black Myth Wukong. That game's going to sell like fucking crazy. People are going to love that game. Why? I mean, yeah, it's a Souls-like, but guess what? It has a really cool, appealing, interesting aesthetic. Right? You're playing as like a monkey man, and the combat has like this wild, fucking super fast-paced swordplay aesthetic to it. It looks freaking incredible. Keyword looks, not plays. People don't know what the gameplay is going to be like yet, but it looks incredible. People are attracted to the theme park by its aesthetic. Okay? Again, it matters. Aesthetic matters. Presentation matters. And if you look, if you make your characters, if you design your characters like a fucking procedurally generated AI that went through a DEI blender, people aren't going to eat that carrot. It's not. It's not going to happen. I was thinking of a name and wanted to see if No was taking. It wasn't, and now it was. Fuck yeah, bro. It's fucking yours. Hell yeah. I have 20-year-old games I can play. Yeah. The only downloads every time I see a word with... What was it called? I have 20 play. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, how many people out there... Because this is the other thing that the AAA games market is really failing so hard because they're so blinded by spreadsheets and ideology, basically. They think that they're like the only market that gamers go to play games. It's like, have you seen the ecosystem of Steam? Steam has got these massive, ridiculous sales seemingly every fucking day. My wish list has dozens. It always has dozens of games in it. And I'm always getting every single day. It's literally every day. This game is 40% off on your wish list. This game is 30% off. Sometimes it's 60% off. You know? And so I buy it. But you know what that means? That means I have a thing called a backlog. And I know that I am not alone in this. I bet you the vast majority of people on Steam, which is easily the biggest platform in the world for gaming, has an insanely big backlog of shit that they haven't even installed yet, let alone played. So not only do you have the backlog that they're not recognizing, because it's like, I'm not interested in that. I got 20 games that I haven't even installed yet. I'll play those. I'm going to catch up on my backlog. Maybe I'll get to you in a couple of years, Concord. You know? So there's not only the backlog that they're failing to recognize that they have to compete with, but there's also just the East. There's Japan, and very rapidly Korea and China with the Hoyoverse, shit like that. You know, and Korea is like a rapidly up and coming player in the market as well. Their government is literally investing a massive amount of money into Korean game developers. Like the South Korean government is their cultural department is investing a fuck ton of money into AAA game development in Korea because they want to actually corner a significant portion of the global market with their products, with their cultural output. Look at the first Descendant. That game is nothing but ass and guns. It is ass and guns. That's all it is. It's fucking great. It is, honestly, very mediocre. Maybe a little bit above mediocre. But guess what? People like the aesthetic. Look, I'll look it up right now. Look. First Descendant. I think I spelled that right. Fuck off. Hang on. I hate when it does this. First Descendant. That's charts. Look at this. Look at this. This is the first Descendant as of 9 hours right now. 115,000 active players, and that's just on Steam. This is cross-play with PlayStation, and because it's coming out of Korea, it actually has a pretty significant player base on the PlayStation as well. Why? I mean, the gameplay is fun. It's very average. The gunplay is actually pretty good. I would put it online, honestly. I would put it in the same ballpark as like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is shit, but the gun mechanics are good, right? The first Descendant is right there with it, except the first Descendant has you controlling waifus with their asses hanging out and hot guys as well. People like the aesthetic of it. It's gameplay plus aesthetic. The aesthetic brings them in. The gameplay keeps you there. It's not complicated. Like, you know, like it's a tale of two philosophies. Which way, Western man? You know, like the numbers don't lie. Look, I stopped playing that one because it tries to get you to open your wallet literally every time you do something, but EIBS. Well, this is true. That's not an issue for me for reasons that I spoke to earlier, honestly. And honestly, even if I wasn't in that situation, I really wouldn't be... Would I be bothered by it? Yes, but I wouldn't really complain about it because it's free to play. If it had a paywall gate, number one, it wouldn't have these numbers. For one, wouldn't have over 100k users right now. If it had a paywall, I swear to God, these dumbass companies that are paywalling live service games, it's so fucking stupid. That's what Flintlock did. Yeah, that's what Flintlock is. I think. Yeah, it's an open world. They're advertising it. It's like a Souls-like MMO. That's how Flintlock is being advertised, but it has a $40 paywall. It's like you're paywalling a fucking live service. Fuck you. Suicide Squad's the same way. Suicide Squad is a paywalled live service. Like, guys, it doesn't work anymore. You can't paywall live service games anymore. It's just not going to work. Like, you're already going to have a hard enough time getting people to pry away from their habits of the games that they're already playing. You need to make these games as visually appealing and as financially accessible as humanly possible. And the worst way to do that is to make them ugly like Concord and stick them behind an initial purchase paywall like Flintlock did. That model just does not work anymore. What got me to stop is when I found you have to pay to unlock more than 10 champions. Yeah, they nickel and dime your inventories and stuff like that. Yeah, because they're like by the time you get 10 champions, you will if you acquire 10 Descendants in that game using only free-to-play mechanics, you have played that game a lot. Okay? You've played that game a lot. At that point, I don't blame the developers and NCSoft, like, hey, we spent a lot of time and effort and money making this game, and we let you play it for free, and you're obviously really enjoying it. Maybe give us a little bit of money for it. I think that's fair. You know, and so let's try to, like, what aspect of the game do you know, do you want to put your money into? We're giving you as many options as possible, whether it be inventory or this or that or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I could see, I get the complaints, but the fact that it's free to play, they fall on mostly deaf ears to me. However, I do sympathize with it. At the same time, I understand the sentiment. And it's like, yeah, if you're free to play and you're strapped for cash, you know, you don't have, you're not a whale. You can maybe afford to spend like $20 on a game. You know what I mean? You're gonna stop playing it because they're trying to nickel and dime you every way that you go. And so you walk away. It's like, yep, that's 100%. You know, if you don't think it's worth the money, then don't buy it and move on to something else. You know what I mean? That is 100% valid. 100% valid. Totally get it. There's plenty of games that I've played where I could afford to buy this or that, but I don't, and I move on because to me the game isn't worth putting money into. You know, totally fair, 100%. But obviously, this game is resonating with a good amount of people based on this player count. So, Path of Exiles did it right. This game isn't doing it right. Path of Exile is Path of Exile could easily get away with monetizing it that itself more. Honestly, it really could. I am amazed at how much Path of Exile gives you without charging. It's kind of insane, actually. Like, I'm almost wondering, like, Jesus, how does this game actually stay afloat? They don't charge for anything, it seems. League of Legends does it right as well. Legends of Runeterra, that's one of my pleasure games, that card game I mentioned earlier. Same thing. That game is criminally under-monetized. In fact, the player base for that game has been telling them, bros, monetize this game more. We are totally fine giving you more money for it because we want the project to survive. Because remember, it's like one of the projects that kind of barely made it out alive from the big restructuring that they did recently. And the player base for that card game are like, bros, monetize it more. We'll give you the money. We love this game and we want it to keep going. Like, you're giving away way too much for free. Like, that is absolutely a sentiment that is going for some games. But anyway, that's the thing. Like, people look at monetization schemes through the prism and the lens of their own pocketbooks, of their own wallets. You know what I mean? And so I will never discount anybody's perspective on what they consider to be financial or predatory monetization schemes or practices, because, you know, you're looking at it through your financial situation and going, that's bullshit. I can't afford any of that. Nobody should have to pay that amount. And that's 100% valid. But you have to also understand that the whales, that's not the perspective. They look at it through their wallets and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's like nothing to me. Totally fine. I like this game. I'll pay whatever. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, everybody looks at monetization schemes through the lens of their own wallets. So yeah, that's kind of all I have on that. I just wanted to go over. So this is just really exemplifying. Like, I wanted to contrast the first Descendant versus Flintlock versus what's Suicide Squad looking like right now? Hang on. What's Suicide Squad looking like? Kill the Justice League. Oh no! Oh my god! 250 people? Oh my god. What a massive failure this game turned out to be. Oh my god. It's funny and sad. It really is. But it's just another data point. It just goes to show you. You know, the main thing that people, it's actually in the low thousands. Yeah, I mean, there's literally 250 people playing it right now across all of Steam. Like, that's not low thousands, that's low hundreds. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, this player count is so low that you're gonna have trouble matchmaking at this point. You know, they committed prenatal suicide. Well, that's the thing. What, like, not only it wasn't just the SBI connection, right? What were the criticisms of the Suicide Squad before it came out? Before people had an understanding of gameplay, and you know, the gameplay was shit too. But what was everybody? Because people hated this game right from the first trailer. Why? Because it was ugly. Harley Quinn was ugly. The color palette was ugly. It was frenetic. It was hard to follow. It hurt people's brains to look at. You know? It was just an ugly looking game. And then you add the SBI on top of it, so you know the story's gonna be fucking awful. And then you add the gameplay shit on top of that, and you have just absolute recipe, like the perfect storm of disaster. You know what I mean? But like I said, these companies are failing to give proper acknowledgement of the importance of aesthetic, art direction, style, and beauty. I mean, it seems like AAA Western devs have just flat out rejected beauty wholesale. Everything that comes out of the West is fucking ugly. Just straight up ugly. Hideous. You know? And it's just like, wow, your gameplay better be fucking phenomenal for me to get past that. You know what I mean? But like, Western devs seem to only be aiming for one thing, which is like realism. Like, nothing coming out of the West has any art style. It's all just, how real can we make things look? It's like, why don't they look into like actually like stylizing their products anymore? Make it more cartoony, make it more this or that. You know what I mean? Like, there are art styles besides just real. And I think that that's one of the reasons that people are fleeing Western devs and going to the East and going to their backlogs and stuff like that. Because like in the East, they have a good understanding of style. Like, look at the artistic bore fest that was Mortal Kombat 1 versus the amazingly appealing style of Street Fighter 6, the most recent one. Like, look at those two games. Which one of those two is everybody still playing to this day? Street Fighter. The one with the aesthetic appeal, the one that has style. Not just good fighting mechanics. Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't have that great of fighting mechanics. It has decent fighting mechanics, but the aesthetic is absolutely boring and hideous. And it's entirely based around like these boring ass fucking looking regular ass like people and shock gore shit. That's it. It's like, well, the shock and gore that wears off. You know, by the third or fourth time you've seen a fatality, you're just like, okay, I don't need to watch this anymore. I've seen it. You know, so that wears off. So all you're left with is just this bland fucking regular ass aesthetic that doesn't seem to be inspired by anything. Whereas Street Fighter 6, you could tell that there's like a style to it. There's like an actual like artistic endeavor behind that, besides the raw gameplay mechanics. And it shows. It indicates passion. It indicates authenticity. It indicates a desire to give gamers what they want, what we want. And Mortal Kombat doesn't do that.